Hello, we are the Brothers Geek. This is our podcast. My name is Patrick Schmaltz, with my two brothers, Christopher Schmaltz. Hello, Christopher.
Hello, good evening.
And Andrew Schmaltz. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, good evening.
We are brothers. We're geeks. We talk about geeky things. This is episode number 185. It's February, what is it? 20th?
20th, President's Day.
We're geeks. We talk about geeky stuff. Go. What do you guys have to talk about?
Well,
Go.
Pat, hold on. Chris and I are having a discussion offline before we press record. Because there was a demonstrable decline in quality of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
What season did that take place in? I enjoy parts of seasons 6, 7, and 8, but I think really Game of Thrones really hit a decline in quality after season 5, the season where the end of the season, the big cliffhanger is Jon Snow is stabbed to death by the Night's Watch.
I have been saying this for years, and you guys have been giving me shit. Finally, you agree with me. Finally, like 6, 7, and 8. It just six is like okay, but it starts to just like you could start to see it even in the first few. The dialogue is not as good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only time my slight different take to yours, Andrew, is I think 6 and 7 are watchable.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I certainly think they're watchable.
I don't know
Your
about
premise,
that.
I think, is declining quality, and I think that's 100% right. But yeah, season 8 is a rough watch.
Yeah, it's not good.
At least my memories of it, like our daughter and my wife are doing a rewatch now, and I'm catching pieces of the episodes, and they're in the beginning of season 3 right now, and so I will be dropping in at various points to watch. I'm not doing a full rewatch with them, but I will certainly pay close attention to those latter seasons just to see how my reaction, because my memory of watching those seasons is, oh wow, these aren't very good. So.
Yeah, six. I remember it being kind of spotty.
Well, six resolves with 6 ends up with Dany finally making her way back to Westeros. Leaving Meereen, getting reconquering Meereen, Jon Snow and Sansa taking back Winterfell.
Yeah, see, I mean, there's parts of 6 that are good. I like the Battle of the Bastards. I think that there are some weird rushed bits in that season.
Oh yeah.
And you can feel it. It's like they were really taking their time in the first few seasons, and now it's just sort of like, let's hurry up and get this over with.
This is the thing, because I am on Game of Thrones Twitter. I shouldn't even say Game of Thrones Twitter. I should say A Song of Ice and Fire Twitter. I am on A Song of Ice and Fire Twitter. I'm on A Song of Ice and Fire TikTok. So like creators that make stuff. So I get fed creator content, and there's recently a creator that I follow, and she does great analysis of Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire and House of the Dragon. Her name is Lady Dragon JJ. To give her a shout out, if she's got any fans want to check her out on TikTok or Instagram, I think she does great analysis of stuff. But she made the point that we've waited now 12 years for Winds of Winter, and I mean, because we know that the Winds of Winter and It Should Be a Dream of Spring, the last 2 books, and A Song of Ice and Fire, and she postulated that the reason that, and I've never thought about it this way, but it makes total sense. The reason why it's taken George R. R. Martin 12 years, beyond the fact that he was working on Game of Thrones at the time, might have gotten distracted and doing other things, and blah blah blah. He may not know how to finish everything. He may not know how to tie all the plot threads together. It's harder to build things I mean, creating an ending, and I think you guys can speak to this too because I haven't read, but how many we were one book away from the conclusion of the King Killer Chronicles, and has it been a decade since? How has it been? It's been at least 5 years since what's his name has published, a book in the King Killer Chronicles, right? Like people don't Rothfuss, yeah, and I mean,
Doors of Stone is the third book.
Doors of Stone, but I mean, there's no release date for that. He doesn't give updates. Like tying things up is the hardest part, and you get to a point where you're not sure if it works.
He's got 3 books, and it took him 12 years. Like just finish it already. Like be happy with. And like people guessed what he was leading towards like way too early, and he's kind of like pissed about it. So I think part of him is probably trying to get away from people remembering Game of Thrones a little bit. Just
Maybe.
Get a little distance in between it, and just take some time to think about it. I mean,
it's possible.
It's an interesting commentary about modern day entertainment, right? And that Faustian bargain that you enter into as a writer, where people are interested in your product and the stories you tell, and then the pace of that hunger for it outpaces your pace of producing more.
mm-hmm.
And then you get into this as the actual artist, you get into that tension around you being influenced by decisions that were made by other people that were either were out of your control, or you compromised and said yes to some certain things in order to deal with the different medium and the storytelling methods. And so what it's pure speculation. It's an interesting problem because he's trying to finish his book series, which is deep and complex and interesting, and I love it. Dense. And he's trying to make sure that the level of quality and storytelling is what speaks to him.
Yeah.
But he's also fighting against the influence that these other people have done to his story.
Yeah, exactly.
And so do you react to it? You build on it? You feed it? People know the end, or they know elements of the end? It's got to be super hard.
Well, and then everybody guessed like the big reveal of like it's Jon Snow as a Targaryen. And,
he's Aegon the Sixth.
Yeah, and it's sort of like he's gone on like interviews saying he didn't like that. He doesn't like that like the internet exists, that people could guess. And I don't think that he likes how popular Game of Thrones is. I think he loves all the money, I'm sure. But it's like, it is such a big hit.
Bullshit. I call bullshit on that. That he doesn't like how popular it is. Yeah. Anyone who's a writer and artist wants their shit to be
read beloved, they want it read by as many people as they can.
Obscure. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but like, he's writing like fantasy books and like read by like sweaty fantasy readers, not the masses. Not every last dude,
I can't disagree that Game of Thrones becoming for a few seasons at least. I mean, by the time the show ended, it was the most popular show in the entire world. Like there hadn't been a show as nearly as big. I think that it was very unexpected for him, and I think probably HBO, because if you look back at season 1 and even season 2, the money is just not there. They did not expect it to be the enormous global hit. I mean, like they took a risk. There hadn't been anything like it on TV before, and then all of a sudden, it is legitimately the most popular show in the history of the world.
By season 4, it was so big. I remember reading articles about the most expensive episodes ever. Like in any television show.
Well, and the most pirated,
level of popular,
pirated, most watched show ever.
You know how that works, though, dude, right? They're not doing that and greenlighting the most expensive episodes ever if they're not making a shit ton of fucking money.
It's true.
They pay for it. They're all in the business of making money. Mm-hmm. So this Cry Me a River about most expensive stuff and let's throw a bunch of money at it. They're making money. They're not gonna do that if they weren't making a ton of money.
Yeah. Yeah,
No,
if it wasn't driving, if the show wasn't driving
And
subscriptions,
George R. R. Martin was raking it in too. So
he's rich as hell. He's rich as hell.
that is the. I have little sympathy for him.
Yeah.
I have little sympathy for him over his artistic tension around the decisions that he made to cash in.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't have sympathy for him about that either. You're absolutely right.
Maybe I don't know him, and all of this is, but every time you hear about and listen to artists, what's the center point of those most successful artists who are true to whatever it is they're producing? They make the art for themselves.
Yes.
And if it touches people, that's gravy.
Yes. Well, it's like I was thinking about this today because I haven't watched Dune in about 6 months. That I want to watch Dune again, because Denis Villeneuve made Dune for the fan he was of the novel when he was 14 years old. That was his complete that was his marching orders. I'm going to make the movie that I would have loved to have seen when I was a 14-year-old and I read the book the first time. And that's completely reflected in the work. You have to make the movie you want to see. You're concerned for your audience. You're asking your audience to spend money and come to a theater for 2.5, 3 hours.
Luckily, he's a genius filmmaker.
Exactly, but you're concerned. You don't want to
out.
Yeah, he's a great filmmaker, but when he talks about why he made the movie he wanted to see. You concern yourself with the audience, but you don't obsess about the audience and what they're seeing. If you're pandering, then it just becomes worthless bullshit. The audience is smart. They know when they're being pandered to and manipulated.
Well,
it's like we talk about it when it's pure fan service.
Right.
People feel that and they're like, this has no depth. It doesn't speak to me beyond the fact that I just feel. Whatever about it.
And there's smatterings about, to bring this back around, is like there's smatterings of that all through season 6 and 7 and 8. Like everybody wanted to see the Hound and the Mountain fight each other, and they did that. Did George R. R. Martin say that it was going to happen? Was that put in because the showrunner
was there
too much internet?
Was there a legitimate character journey to get there? Did the Hound learn anything?
Yes.
No, the Hound was a single-minded revenge machine. I would actually say the Hound grew more over seasons 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then by the time you get to season 8, he regresses. Everybody regresses in season 8.
What season does he Left for Dead?
It's the end of season 2.
No. That's like season 5, dude.
No, it's not. He's not in the show for an entire season, then he comes back in season 4 or 5. What did he? Oh, Chris, you just
no. Really?
He leaves King's Landing at the end of season 2.
Battle of
Blackwater,
and then spends a whole season with Arya. That's the end of
season 3.
3.
End of season 3, he has that fight with Brienne.
He's not in 4 at all, and then
he's not in 4. Comes back in 5.
5. Is that 6? I don't remember.
Is he gone for 2 seasons or just 1?
I think. I gotta look that up.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But no, I think him being left for dead by Arya, I'm okay with his character being dead. There are people who, everybody has their favorite character. The Hound was way down on my list in terms of favorite characters. That's good. People just loved the Hound and Arya show of
it was fun
traveling around.
Here's a good question that we may not have talked about. We might have enough distance from the series now to talk about. Who is your favorite character in Game of Thrones? Can you name one?
I know mine, but how his story ends and what happens to him, I don't really like. And
who's
it's
your
sort
favorite
of basic. Jon Snow. I just love Jon Snow.
Okay, Jon Snow's your favorite character.
I liked him a lot.
I like
Brienne of Tarth too. So
yeah, she's fun to watch. Mm-hmm. Christopher, do you have a favorite character?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
I think I know mine off the top of my head. Because my handle's on multiple social media. King of the North, but not Jon Snow. My favorite character is actually Robb Stark.
Oh,
I really enjoyed Robb Stark.
Robb Stark, like, killed himself. Everybody doesn't realize.
Oh, he made all the mistakes you could make.
He made so many mistakes, and then he betrayed too many people and lied to many people and screwed people over.
And he followed his heart. He followed his heart. He married for love, and that's a departure from
You can't go to dinner with the person you betrayed.
You know the name that came to mind immediately, which I think I'm gonna go with.
Sure.
Jorah Mormont.
Oh yeah,
that's a good one. That is a good one.
He's a good character.
I think he's my favorite character now, having distance and now watching it in smattering pieces. I think his love and devotion and at the centerpiece of Daenerys's arc.
Yeah.
And then the tragedy associated with him.
He had a great ending. If anyone in the show had a great ending, it was Jorah Mormont. He went out doing exactly how he wanted. He wanted to defend his queen, and he did.
Is Kira watching this with Susan, or is it?
Yeah.
Is it okay? And has she seen it before?
Oh, this is first time.
Right.
We didn't let her watch it. She's too young.
I know.
Yeah,
she's
7.
That's what I was
Game of
trying
Thrones
to. I was just making
Game
sure,
of Thrones is rated R, and she's 17, so it's rated R level shit.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure, but it's some dark stuff for
sure. Is she the first couple seasons, from what I remember about the commentary and watching it myself and remembering it, the commentary about the first few seasons was, and they get away from it in later seasons, is just the level of sexual violence that goes on all the time.
Yeah.
Is she picking up, and of course she picks up on it, but is that something that is the commentary from her, that the sexual violence is, too extreme and she's not enjoying it on that level? Or is she, able to, I guess, appreciate it for the story of itself? Because you can get bogged down just focusing on kind of the gnarlier parts of the story, for sure.
All of that male gaze bullshit that's in the first couple seasons, she's skipping past.
Got it. Okay.
She understands and she's smart enough to understand what's the point of the lead up to that scene. But then she's skipping past the scene because she correctly is concluding that I don't need to see that shit.
You don't need to see it. Bullshit. That was the commentary about those seasons for all of the drama and tension that's built, and the way that the sexual violence is expressed in the show can be gratuitous for sure.
Yeah, no,
especially, and then culminating with Sansa in season 5 and how Ramsay Bolton. It was Anyway,
so
it's good talk though. Even years later, we'd still talk about the show because of how much we loved it.
I would say season 1 through 5 are really good, and then it starts to slowly get to like really good television, like some of the best fantasy television there's ever been. And and then slowly but surely it's a utter disappointment.
I remember I had this moment we were watching tonight, where they were watching an episode at the final episode of season 2, where the huge reveal is those freaking awesome captains of the Walker army, with the ice spears and shit, and the piercing blue eyes, and astride that death metal horse, and they're marching south, and Sam is caught up in all of that, and wild. That scene, I remember thinking, "Oh my god, that is some bonkers shit."
Shit. And then you don't get another episode for 10, 11 months or something.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right.
Yeah, she could just watch the season 3 right away.
They're hogging the big TV. It's pissing me off. It's very annoying to me right now because they're deep in binge watch mode, and so it's 3 episodes a night at least.
Sure.
I'm excited for another House of the Dragon. I mean, we did a episode breakdown for House of the Dragon, and that was definitely scratching the itch. And it was such a, I mean,
House of the Dragon. Now that watching them, House of the Dragon just doesn't have it.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's got a level of darkness. That Game of Thrones has a level of darkness.
I'm priming myself.
It doesn't have it.
I'm priming myself for a rewatch of House of the Dragon. I'm watching there's a behind the scenes episode for every single episode of House of the Dragon for season 1, like a 30-minute behind the scenes making of. And I've been rewatching those just, because I love that stuff.
House of the Dragon, I think the problem with House of the Dragon is that from a storytelling standpoint, it's relying way too much on Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Game of Thrones didn't have that.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones had complexity, had various people with deep motivations. It had all kinds of other crazy stuff. House of the Dragon really is overshadowed by Chekhov's gun.
I think that House of the Dragon has more complexity than you're remembering. I think there's a lot of it there. It's not written by George R.R. Martin, but it's loosely based off.
There's a lot of
close to the complexity of Game of Thrones.
I think season 1, for all of its quality and all of its kind of there's a lot of build up. Episode by episode, they're good quality episodes, but it's a lot of build. Season 2 is when the rubber's going to meet the road, and the Dance of Dragons is really going to start.
I hope
and
so.
It's going to be it has started, and what goes down, and the machinations that happen, and the limits that people get pushed to, and how people go over the edge, and the gray area that people live in gets pushed into the most bloody black area you can think of.
You start to ask these questions that we don't really get a lot of in Game of Thrones, just a little bit, because there's only 2 Targaryens in the whole show. But the Targaryens have a level of insanity to them, and it's they have a level of insanity mixed with incredible power at their fingertips, and so it's that. I want to see some crazy shit. I want to see people just nuking.
I think that's one note though, because I think it's more interesting storytelling to say that shit is in everyone. Yeah. And then when you're confronted with
I don't have access to nuclear weapons or an F-16, Christopher.
Right.
So
no, I mean that's why Game of Thrones is more interesting to me because everybody had that level of making choices in the gray area. Stannis Baratheon and his Faustian bargain with the Red Priestess, all that stuff is Targaryen-like. It is. You have access to power, and you choose to use that power in order to further your own ends.
Right.
I mean, so it's more interesting to me when a person sort of, as just a normal human, is exposed to having those. In that moment of dilemma, they choose power over the right thing to do. And the Targaryens are just a caricature of that.
You're making me think of all the storylines that were set up in interesting ways that sort of pittered out in the last few seasons. Like what was the whole Red Woman's thing? I feel that was such a disappointing end to her story, and the whole Stannis stuff, and Jon Snow the prince that was promised or whatever. And then what was the other one that was disappointing to me? Why Bran being the three-eyed raven? Why have this power and not use it at all?
The payoff for that was super lame.
Lame.
Super lame.
You literally can alter time
to go
And
to bring it all the way back to where we
started. Creatures, and you don't warg into a dragon. No one said that. No one said that in a meeting ever. Like,
well, and it's like,
are you fucking kidding?
It goes back to the original point we're making. George R. R. Martin hasn't published a book in 12 years because he might not know how he's going to wrap all this shit up. Yes, he's created all this shit, and the showrunners for Game of Thrones, they create all the super cool shit exists, and maybe 10% of the payoff in the show actually feels legitimate. The rest of it feels like a cheap.
With a dagger into the Night King's belly is how you defeat the whole thing. Like, that's.
I mean, it's a cool girl pal moment, and everybody loved Arya, and I like the idea of. I mean, the training that she goes in to become, this magical assassin, and
I have to believe that was approved by Martin. That is in many ways against the fantasy trope, right?
Yeah.
The fantasy trope is Jon Snow battles to the death with the Night King.
Yeah.
Right? And they have a big sword fight out in the front of the castle, in front of their armies. Isn't that?
Yeah.
That's the trope.
Yeah. And
so I really appreciate that it goes against that trope, and I think that I'm hopeful that that's sort of what he was headed towards. She strikes me as that storyline alone is that's one of the more interesting ones, is that she's probably the most powerful human out of any of these humans.
The Starks that survive are extremely powerful. Three-Eyed Raven, Arya, and Jon Snow. And it's like, and like, why aren't you having Jon Snow ride a dragon? Like, like he's a Targaryen. Like
he does ride a dragon.
He does ride a dragon.
Well, like in
the Long Night, he rides a dragon
in a way that, like,
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are moments.
Maybe I expunged that memory from my brain.
The attack on the wall is freaking incredible. Those episodes, all of that stuff is sending the dragons north, super interesting and cool. And anyway,
I thought that was.
I love the series from beginning to end. There are degrees of enjoyment. Obviously, I love it from beginning to end.
Well. Speaking like, I don't want to stop this Game of Thrones discussion, but I'm pivoting a little bit. Do you guys are you guys gonna rewatch Mandalorian season 2 in preparation of Mandalorian season 3 happening on March 1st?
Probably.
No.
I mean,
No.
Mandalorian.
No.
It's only 8 episodes, so I could probably knock it out in like one day.
You got to watch Book of Boba Fett, 2 episodes of 2 or 3 episodes. 2.5. Are you guys excited about that? You'll definitely watch it, right?
Oh, absolutely watching Mandalorian season 3.
Oh, of course.
Hell yes.
There's too much new and interesting things and old things that I haven't seen that I'm not do a whole lot of rewatches for me.
Hannah doesn't rewatch anything.
Time is too precious for me these days.
Well, what are you into right now, Christopher? Besides The Last of Us, because we're all watching that together.
Yeah.
I'm into Poker Face. Have you
seen? I need to watch Poker Face.
Oh my god, Ryan Johnson is a genius.
Yeah.
Poker Face, dude. Watch it. Yes, it's better than pretty good.
I struggle with I'll admit it. I struggle with Natasha Lyonne. I don't think she has any kind of.
I think that's my problem with it too.
There are people that I don't care about watching, and
weird. She's too weird for the show.
Her energy, for whatever reason, is off-putting for me.
I think she's great. Her energy is great for this show. I like it.
I need to watch it. I just haven't found. I just need to sit down and start.
The writing and the structure is like really smart and really well made. But Natasha,
did you guys ever? I sent you guys that link? Did you guys ever watch that? Joseph Kaczynski, I mean, it's 45 minutes long. That YouTube video where Joseph Kaczynski and Ryan Johnson talk filmmaking.
Yes,
No,
I did
I know.
watch that. I did watch
Ryan
that.
Patrick brought up structure, and
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson is all about structure. And you understand because he's in this murder mystery vein right now, and murder mysteries are all about structure and
Yep.
how you build to payoff, and the way that he works out all that. He builds and builds and builds, and the reveals and reels. He structures everything out. He does not start until he knows the end, and then he builds. It's super cool how his mind works when it comes to storytelling.
The detail level in each episode is crazy good, Andrew. It's like
I need to.
every little like
Non-linear.
clue,
It's non-linear storytelling.
all the little clues, all the little like side stuff that you don't think matters comes back around. The random character that you think doesn't matter is like the reason, like it's the reason she solves the murder. It's like, holy shit, that it's so smart and thought out, and like nothing is
This discussion right here, just the fact that Ryan Johnson is like climbing the of working filmmakers that like impress us is I want him to make more Star Wars just because I know what he did with The Last Jedi and what he could do with kind of more freedom, and he doesn't have to make the second movie in a trilogy. I want to see him make Star Wars on his own terms.
They were talking about giving him a trilogy at some point, but I think the second one is just so divisive.
It's so divisive, but there are so many more Ryan Johnson fans than there are detractors. There really are.
I think we've discussed
I was going to
it at length, so
I was going to bring this up, and I mean it highlighted the idea of things that are things that are talked about and confirmed and exist on the internet, and then years later they're still out there, but nobody is really talking about them. Nothing's active. Do you guys remember? And I'm reminded myself about it because I brought up the King Killer Chronicles earlier. Do you guys remember? Before the pandemic, a year or two before the pandemic, Lin-Manuel Miranda was involved in a deal to bring the King Killer Chronicles to television.
Yeah, I heard that.
Like him and Rothfuss were going to like collaborate to bring it to TV.
Just finish the books before you do that, you sons of bitches.
I think that's what happened, though. Like there was, like people thought about Lin-Manuel Miranda was at the height of his powers. Like he just won everything, and Hamilton was the biggest thing in the world. And then he gets this deal to adapt this fantasy series, and then here we are, 4 or 5 years later.
The main character is a bard, by the way.
Exactly.
I'm sure
he was going to write original music for it and stuff.
I'm sure they're still working on it.
You think?
4
4 years later.
I
mean,
really
the pandemic
hope so.
the pandemic screwed up everything. There was 2 years where nothing really, no production was happening. So, but I think about that every now and again. I'm like, 4 years. This is like 4 years ago.
I watch videos of Rothfuss, and he's non-committal, but I feel strongly that we're going to get an announcement that the book is coming out this year.
Oh,
really? Yeah. By the end of like October, November time.
Yeah.
Wow. There's some speculation. That Martin will announce Winds of Winter, like a publication date, because the last few interviews he's given is that he's like 2/3 or 3/4 of the way done with it, and then the editing and all that proof and all that stuff happens. So there might be Winds of Winter in the next year or to 12 months. Wow. So, or at least an announcement for a publication date this year.
It's gonna be like Harry Potter level people buying that book.
Frenzy. Oh yeah.
That's be a friend. 100%.
I'm
one of them.
Stacks at every Barnes and Noble.
I will be knocking on the door at midnight to get my copy of Winds of Winter. 100%, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
So before we talk about Last of Us, I want to talk about some comic books.
And Ant-Man.
And Ant-Man. I have two comic books, actually 3 comic books that I'm working on one of them, but I've been getting books from the public library. Great resource, by the way. Reading comics for free. Amazing. So I've been reading Once and Future. I read Once and Future Volume 2. Have you read this book, Christopher?
The comic book?
It's a comic book called Once and Future.
Based on Once and Future King?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Chris bought me that as a present. I've gotten through with...
Yes.
Great. I read volume 2. It's violent as hell.
Camelot.
Yeah, it's Camelot in modern times. Really interesting. With like
I saw that in the comic book shop. I was wondering about. Did I send you a picture of it? I think I might have sent you a picture of it, saying, "Hey, this looks."
I need to finish volume 1. I started volume 1 and I really dug it, and I got to the end of like the first issue or whatever, or the second issue. I love the relationship between
the art is really good. And
the Arthur character and his grandmother. It's hilarious.
It's really
she cracks me up.
It's pretty funny and awesome.
Yeah.
And so I read volume 2, and it's really good. I also read Human Target. You guys read this? Heard of this? Nope. Human Target is a guy who pretends to be other people, and he's in the DC universe. So he pretends to be Lex Luthor, paid for by Lex Luthor, because there's a hit out on him, and then he becomes the target, right? Like, instead of Lex Luthor. So he dressed up like him, and then like he gets poisoned because someone's trying to kill Lex Luthor, and he believes someone in the JLA did it. So he's like investigating the JLA.
Interesting.
It's really good. It's the art is really good, and it's like a film noir comic book.
Does he have powers?
He has no powers. He's just a master of disguise, and he's smart. He's smart. He's very smart, and he's a good fighter. But that's it.
Okay.
And it's really, I mean, like one of the best comics I've read in years. You guys should check it out. And their art is good, and it's really interesting and fun. And I'm reading Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, because James Gunn announced the DC movie slate, and he talked about how the Supergirl movie that's coming up is going to be based on this comic book called Woman of Tomorrow. And I immediately reserved it at the public library, and I've been reading it, and it's really good. The art's really good.
They teased that with the Flash movie trailer stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Supergirl, but it's going to be a different version of Supergirl.
Yeah. Different.
But I love the idea of the Supergirl that's going to be in the Flash movie. She looks awesome, and I think that character is going to be a lot of fun.
I don't know how, there's no Superman. Like, is Superman dead in this universe because he did Flashpoint? We're gonna have to find out. I have a lot of questions about that trailer and what that movie is going to be. Of course, I'm excited about Michael Keaton being in he was my childhood Batman. I showed the original Batman to Hannah, and she thought it was terrible. I think it is terrible, but it is he is my childhood Batman. So she actually thought Batman Returns was more interesting than the first one. So
yeah, the only thing good about that
Batman Returns is good.
Batman
the only
Returns
thing good about that Batman movie is the Prince music.
Oh yeah. True.
The Batman soundtrack, throw it.
The Batman soundtrack.
My childhood Batman is the animated Kevin Conroy Batman. That is the Bat. When I think of Batman, that's the Batman I think of.
I mean, legit. That's legit.
Those
are the comics I was reading, but yeah, we got to talk about Ant-Man. We got to talk about.
I'm reading. I bought a compendium of Doctor Doom because I am all about Doctor Doom these days. So I'm in the comics, and so I bought one of those hardcover.
Nice.
Everything from the very beginning, every appearance of Doctor Doom forward.
Nice.
And so I'm reading that right now. It is phenomenal. Doctor Doom, such a great villain.
Is it gonna have it's got to go through like the Secret Wars stuff in the 80s, right? That's a great Doctor Doom story.
I'm still in the 30s.
Oh my god!
Wow,
Fantastic Four stuff. That first appearance is in Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
and then he's in Spider-Man. It's awesome. Yeah,
that's fun. That's fun.
That is fun. That's really cool.
I mean, we haven't talked about Last of Us since like episode 3 or whatever. So we've had 4 and 5 now, and this show is just like, it is like messing with us. It is so heavy.
I love it.
It's really good. It's really good. But man, episode 4, that was insane. Like them trying to escape Kansas City and the brothers, and then how that episode ends. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but is insane.
Yeah.
And I mean the whole, yeah. There's so much
It's
there that is heavy and hard to watch, but it's such
Dark.
good television.
It's
Yeah.
it's such
So
good
good.
television. It honestly reminds me of The Walking in terms of like the emotional reality it's bringing to this fantastic post-apocalyptic world. I mean, when The Walking Dead was at its height and it was so good and it was the most talked about show on TV besides Game of Thrones. I mean, it was the similar kind of feeling. I mean, Andrew Lincoln every week was going to these levels of like, this is a real guy dealing with this stuff, and Pedro Pascal is doing the same kind of thing. I mean, Bella Ramsey is fantastic as Ellie.
Yeah, the
but
acting
the
level
most recent,
is out of this world in this show.
yeah, the most recent episode and what Pedro Pascal does, and the kind of the emotional lengths that he goes to. This is I mean, you get to some real honest, vulnerable, parts in this episode where you just empathize with Joel, and he's faced with these life or death situations, and how he kind of, the exposition feels totally earned, but you are right there with him, and it's gut wrenching, and you can't. I mean, think about the fact that we're talking about a show with fungus monsters, and and you're bonding on a very basic level with this guy who's struggling with whether or not he's fallen in love with this girl and he wants to protect her, but he gets to a point where he's not sure he's actually able to anymore, and how that must feel and the reality of that situation. And he plays out right in front of you, and Pedro Pascal just totally sells it. But he decides he's going to take the risk. I mean, and life is full of risk, and you have to go with it. And he can't. Yeah, I can't say enough. I'm singing a song about this episode because I just thought it was that good.
I agree with all that, but there's sort of like a lack of hope. I guess the hope that we're holding on to is that she's going to get somewhere where they're going to be able to cure this thing, but it's reached a level of like things are so bad that like it would take a very long time to recover from this.
And I don't even think that it's setting up a premise where this world can be saved.
Right.
It's
and that's
whether or not
and
I don't need this story to be a save the world story. I'm okay with the story if it turns out to be. It's as Joel finds a way to save himself, or he finds redemption, or Joel gets to a place where he feels he's not just surviving, he's enduring, and he's finding a reason to live again. And it's not just about continuing to live, it's about having reasons to live. And I mean, it's tropey, but every good apocalypse story in my mind does that. It's about what people are pushed to do, and then finding some semblance of themselves still exist, and their humanity still exists, even though they've compromised so much to survive. So, and for me, the show is working on those levels in really outstanding ways.
It was nice to see like a settlement. Spoilers a little bit. It was nice to see like a settlement where people were still surviving, I guess, and not at each other's throats. But it's sort of like just like outside world is so bleak, and there's people who are just like living by themselves, who are surviving.
I'm loving
but
like
then
the
you run the risk of like someone just barking down your door and pointing a gun at your face at any time. It's sort of
I'm loving the kind of the cold, wintry Midwest setting. Yeah. I think it's kind of cool. I love that.
Fascinating.
Christopher, are you into it, or are you?
Yeah, I'm totally into it. I think the storytelling has been exceptional, and the actors at the center of it are like doing everything with the material that it's just it's a window into humanity and finding purpose, and reminder of all those things that make being alive great, and set with a backdrop of, okay, we could die at any moment, and that's it's all those movies is no different. That's the metaphor for life, right? So it's a fascinating a, approach, but also similar to others. But it's what sets it apart is the storytelling. The episode 3 is one of the best episodes of all time and ever in terms of TV, in my view. And it's building to. I think you're exactly right. There's not a lot of hope involved in this tale, but also it's also a reminder that save the world level hope if that doesn't exist, that there's always smaller sort of areas and pieces of hope, and human a human life is lived at that micro level versus the macro level of big stories. And so this show is doing a great job of focusing on the micro, sprinkling it with the macro in order to sort of remind the viewer of the environment in which all these people are operating in. But I love the fact that it's always focused on the micro. So
Yeah.
Yeah, like I will say that, like, Hannah commented to me and that the last episode, the 5th episode, was kind of a pass-through episode, like a little bit of a, we had to like transition things a little bit. We had to like create some drama.
Yeah, it's a bridge. It's a bridge.
Yeah, it's a bridge to the end. And there's 9 episodes in the season. I looked that up because I was curious of, like, where are we at? Are we only going to get 6 episodes or something, but there's 9. So we still have 4 more, interesting. But
Well,
yeah, no, it's a good show.
Really, the next episode is a fill the gaps in Ellie's past episode.
It looks like it. I didn't watch the trailer because, like, Hannah doesn't like watching trailers, so now I don't watch trailers.
What's funny, I won't comment and spoil anything, but the episode that we're getting next week, I watched like a behind the scenes or a video about it. The episode that we're getting was a DLC in the game that flushes Ellie's character out a little more.
Oh, no kidding.
So the episode that we're going to get apparently exists as a DLC in the game, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, it is kind of cool, right? So we're going to get this, like, potentially a flashback episode, but it's actually a DLC where you could play as Ellie, because apparently the game you only play as Joel. For the mainline Last of Us Part 1, you only play as Joel, and then there's a DLC, I guess, where you play as...
that you switch to Ellie in the main game.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah.
Then maybe it was the... Well, I know certainly in Last of Us Part 2, you play as Ellie and you play as another character. But yeah, you play... Yeah, so I thought that was a fun little tidbit, is that this episode we're likely to get exists as a DLC in the game, which is kind of cool.
Well, I didn't know how many episodes there were, so Patrick, that's interesting information. The next episode is episode 6.
Yeah.
Right.
And then presumably there will be a 3-episode final arc.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Presumably.
Yeah. Sweet. Let's talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania. It's...
I tweeted about it, and I will say this. It's not the worst MCU movie, and it's not the best MCU movie.
I will watch Paul Rudd read a phone book. So,
I will disagree. I will not watch Paul Rudd read a phone book. I will watch Jonathan Majors read a phone book.
Yeah, probably that too. He's really good. Paul Rudd's like such a great actor. I think it's just sort of like Paul Rudd's character arc wasn't very good. All the stuff that's like happening in the quantum realm doesn't matter to us. Like I think we've talked about this a little bit on the before, where it's sort of, I don't care about the space and the multiverse and all this other shit. Like, I want a ground level superhero where he's dealing with human problems, you know, and they are up here and I'm, you know, or down there rather, but I want regular stories again. You know, I want them to deal with human villains, you know, in a human setting. So that's my problem with it, is like, I don't really like this multiverse storyline that they've decided to go down, and it's fine, I guess. And that's my
did you hold on, but did you like it in No Way Home with the Spider-Man? Did that pay off for you?
I liked it in that I had nostalgia for those old Spider-Man movies, and it was fun.
Exactly.
It's fun to see them come back.
That's my main.
But there's none of that in this. There's no nostalgia stroking in this, because like what are you doing? Like, so I think Jonathan Majors is great. I think that Paul Rudd is great. Evangeline Lilly is a crazy person. I think I could watch. I had such a crush on Michelle Pfeiffer when I was a kid. I still kind of do. So I liked it. It's a very fun movie, but I just don't give a shit about the overall story. I don't care about the plot. I don't care about what direction they're going to, but it was fun to watch. That's it.
Christopher, you want to weigh in?
I love Star Wars, and this is Marvel's Star Wars movie. More so than any Guardians of the Galaxy. I loved it because of that element of it. I enjoyed it, I should say. There's not much of an arc for Ant-Man. There's not a whole lot for him to do other than sort of those set pieces that he was in.
Yeah.
All the best Marvel movies, they understand that you have to have a compelling villain. I think Majors is super compelling. And I think Kang is super compelling. I think it definitely suffers from the points you're making, Patrick. Which is they felt for some reason they got to keep building on the stakes. The problem that they've created for themselves, though, is that if there's a infinite multiverse, there are no stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than the villain saying, "I've seen the end."
Yeah.
And then they don't hit hard enough this idea that really they tease, but you're supposed to believe that he's the villain of the movie. This Kang is probably correct. The other Kangs who exiled him, this Kang is probably correct that he has seen and he has the answer to prevent the end of existence.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not really. Yeah. We've seen two versions of Jonathan Majors, like the Loki version, and then and they're both doing terrible shit, right?
Right.
But there's worse. There's worse than these two.
See, I disagree. I think, and maybe I'm misremembering, but the reason this Kang is exiled is because the other Kangs hate and fear him so much. So he's, singularly is worse.
Well,
they fear him.
It's worse to them.
Worse from what perspective, though?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're right.
He's worse from their perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. That's true.
My problem with to go back to Patrick's point, which I agree with, is that my problem is if you have all of the stakes, there's really no stakes.
Yeah.
And that's a real. navigating that and telling compelling stories is all these movies will only be saved by the kick-ass writing, the kick-ass. I mean, I'm so impressed with the technology in making this movie because never once was I taken out of the suspension of disbelief.
It looked amazing. It looked amazing.
It looked great. It looked great.
The immersive sort of quality of the quantum realm was freaking amazing.
It looked gorgeous.
Yeah. All of that, they have perfected all of that, and I think they have an incredible stable of writers that they can tap into who are continuing to write compelling stories set in this universe, and that's great. And Kang is a super interesting villain, but I think that the problem is the finding human moments in the big and small, right? Threatens the universe, okay. Threatens the multiverse. Oh, okay. All right. Now, okay, great. Threatens the multiverse. All of us have trouble conceptualizing the multiverse. I thought it was super clever the way they depicted that in the scene where it's all the Ant-Mans as ants building the bridge kind of stuff. Super fun.
Really cool.
Yeah, that's really fun.
Dude, the shot of like he's reaching up and the Wasp is catching him and they're all recombining. I was like, this is insane. Like that
was super cool.
The level of character building, like all the interesting aliens, I'm doing in quotes, all the interesting world stuff, weird like Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz, crazy shit. The alive buildings. What the hell is that? You know, it's
that was cool.
Like those are cool, interesting, fun ideas in this movie but it's framed around this not very compelling story. You know, it's like and it's what do you guys think of MODOK? Like I think MODOK is like a joke. And
he's a joke. It's a complete joke. He's a joke in the they don't take him seriously in the comics. I mean, people who are complaining about, they ruined MODOK or they didn't. He's a joke in the comics.
Dude,
he's a big floating head.
He's a big floating head, and I think
completely silly.
You cannot do him seriously.
Tiny baby legs.
Yes,
tiny baby legs.
You cannot do that character seriously in any facet. Like it's So
it's almost good. The MCU fanboys, much like the Star Wars fanboys, have fallen in love too much with this stuff sometimes, and they can't get to the point where they just accept the fact that, you know what, it's going to be a little bit silly. You can't take it so fucking seriously. It doesn't matter that much. Like, there's been 30 some odd of these movies, but you know what? Just sometimes it's just fun. Sometimes you just watch a movie and if you think it's funny or you chuckle at it, that's enough.
Did we ever talk about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever on the show?
Yeah, we did.
I put this movie in the top half. I put this movie in the top half of all of the Marvel movies.
I would say for fun factor, I like this movie a lot. I might have enjoyed it. Like, I might have contradicted myself a little bit here. Is like, the second one is pretty fun, but, like, I don't care to rewatch it. Like, this one, I would probably rewatch, like, having seen this a couple days ago. Like, I would watch it again if it was on Disney Plus. When it comes back to Disney Plus, I'd definitely watch it again, because it's beautiful. It's beautiful and it's fun. So
I don't feel a need to ever rewatch the second Ant-Man movie, but I will absolutely rewatch this one.
That's
there you go.
That's true. That's
what I would say that on phase 4. I've kind of said the only movie I did one rewatch of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and it's better on the second watch for me. I agree. Yeah, I've watched Shang-Chi multiple times. Yeah, and it is always good.
It's a great movie.
Yes,
that movie's
it is
fun.
A great comic book origin story movie.
I think they've been doing a lot of like building towards multiple like
Well, I mean,
like,
think about
like
the phase.
individual movies. They need to start combining these characters.
Well, think
like,
think about phase. Think about the Phase 4 properties that we've gotten, and how many of them you. I have rewatched WandaVision. I've rewatched Shang-Chi. I've rewatched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I've rewatched Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness.
did
But
you
everything else,
rewatch Loki?
I have no desire to rewatch Loki. I mean, Loki is Ashton's favorite character, and she might do a rewatch. I don't really care. I mean, I'm not that invested. But that's part of the.
Out of the shows from the Disney Plus Marvel shows, I think Loki was the best made.
I just don't. I mean, and that's the beauty of the MCU. It's gotten so big now that you can have your favorites that you totally invest in and you love, and you'll rewatch their shit. But there are certain things where, I'm legitimately, I'm never going to watch Love and Thunder again. Ever.
Oh, yeah. No, that movie does not hold up. I watched that the second time, and I was like, this is worse than I remember.
The astonishing thing about what they've achieved, though, is that there's only a handful, probably less than a handful, of genuinely bad movies.
Oh, absolutely.
Bad.
There might be less than 5 that are genuinely bad.
Genuinely bad.
Yeah.
I think Love and Thunder is in that genuinely bad.
I
think Love and Thunder is dead last. I think it's the worst MCU movie they've ever made.
If you know me, I would rather watch Iron Man 3 over Love and Thunder.
Me too. I would too. I watch Iron Man 2 over Love and Thunder.
I kind of have a soft spot for Iron Man 2. But
Iron Man 2 is good. What are you talking about?
It's okay. But the scene on the racetrack in Iron Man 2 is so dope. Like,
so dope. Yeah, in Monaco, it's so fun.
He picks up the armor.
Dude, the suitcase armor is that suit up is so.
And then he kicks
it's still
the car.
Best.
It's
still the best.
Like,
it's the best suit up. It is the best suit up in all of Iron Man suit ups. Is the suitcase suit up.
Anyway, to my point. So this is I mean, again, I think this Ant-Man movie is absolutely in the top half, and and
100%.
Marvel has created this universe that is tons of compelling characters and stories, and I trust them to keep. I mean, they have hits and misses, but their misses aren't.
I am there every single. I am there every single Thursday to watch the movie. I'm. It's a foregone conclusion. I will go to every single Marvel release. I just will.
Am I the only one who is disappointed there was no Michael Pena in this movie?
No, you're not the only one. I was disappointed. Kira and I were talking about that. Kira and I went to the movie, and she looked it up ahead of time, and she said, "I'm sorry to say, Dad, I don't know if you know, but Pena's not in this movie." And I'm like, "Oh, damn!"
I wanted the stinger at the end to be Michael Pena telling a story to someone.
Yes.
I wanted that to be the post-credit scene.
Yeah,
he's not in the whole movie, and then he's just.
And Rudd tells him the story, and then Payne is telling the story in an art gallery.
To someone else. I wanted that. Let me tell you a story about Scott. He goes to the multiverse. He goes shrink. Like, I want that. Why is that not a thing?
They should have done that.
Yes.
You're right. They should have.
So, okay. Well, any final thoughts about Ant-Man? We're reaching the hour mark here, so.
Jonathan Majors' Kang is the best part.
I mean,
he's the best part.
Good. He's really good.
He's good. He's so good in everything.
He's really good in a group of really good actors, and so that's saying something. Yeah. Have you guys seen the movie Devotion?
I have. I went and watched it.
I liked it. I thought it was.
I liked it too.
Yeah,
it's a slow burn. It's more character than I expected. It's not a war movie until like the last 20 minutes. It's a
true
good
story. That's why it's a true story about a real guy. So once you go,
it's a really solid movie.
In Lovecraft country, but man,
oh my god,
it's hard to watch.
Oh yeah,
the last part of that season was almost impossible to watch. So yeah.
Wow.
But
Why do you say it was impossible to watch? Why do you go to that extreme?
because it wasn't going anywhere, and it sort of it dragged. And
I'm with you there. Yeah, when you say that makes sense. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, do you have trivia, Andrew?
I don't have trivia, but I will highlight the fact that the next season of Formula One Drive to Survive releases this weekend.
Oh, nice.
I love that shit. I'm so sucked in. I am a devotee.
We have
of
nine
to Survive.
days until Mandalorian season 3. I also like to talk about, just briefly, I watched Legend of Vox Machina season 2, which is very Dungeons and Dragons.
We are working our way through that.
Dude, it's so good. I love Vox Machina.
And that's on Netflix. It's on Netflix.
It's on Prime.
Prime. Okay, Prime.
You got my Prime, bro. Watch.
I got your Prime. I gotta finish a couple things on Prime actually.
And they announced the Mighty Nine for Prime too, because these cartoons that Critical Role's been making have been so popular. So that they're gonna have more animated Dungeons and Dragons shit. And we didn't really talk about the whole Dungeons and Dragons shooting themselves in the foot over the OGL. Maybe we'll save that for next time. But
the other update I want to provide to you and our listeners is I have received delivery of Frosthaven.
Yeah.
Yes.
When do you and Shawn begin your long distance play?
Shawn has also received his delivery of Frosthaven.
Yeah.
And so our schedules are busy. I haven't even had an opportunity to crack open the box to read the
You guys
rules.
need to set up webcams and Discord stream this, and I want to watch and like talk to you guys and like have like a like an experience of you guys playing this and
fun.
watching you and talking to you about it. You should set this up so I can watch you and like interact with you, and we'll like I'll sit and have a couple beers and watch you guys play and talk shit.
I want to do that too. Can we'll make this a foursome.
I'll have to pick your brain, Patrick, about how do I set that up so that I
think that'd be so fun for me.
If I'm on the thing, then I could just record it and then, or do you want me to stream it to Twitch? I can stream what we're doing right now in OBS to Twitch. So
I would just need to get video that you could join.
Well,
we could do Discord.
Discord, absolutely. Yeah, we could just do what we're doing right now, and then we'll set it up to be your main camera or whatever. So
I would just have to figure out the camera and how to connect it.
Yeah, it's true. It's not a wireless camera.
We could talk off air, but like you could download the stuff and then set up your own, and then you can.
I am in need of a new laptop, so maybe that's the way to go.
Well, and you could stream it from your phone too, dude. You could FaceTime it, or you could download the Discord app on your phone and video from the Discord app on your phone.
I could do that, yeah.
The
field of view on that wouldn't be great.
Good.
You put it on a tripod or something. The camera quality on your phone is really good. So
what I would want to do is I think suspend it over the board.
Yeah, that could be fun. All these ideas.
Yeah,
Patrick. Let's talk through that because I think that would be fun. I am going to record myself in some unboxing, so you'll see all of that.
So
definitely.
I have this thing for my terrain building to set up my phone and iPad, and it has a stretchy part that you can put your phone in, and then you just set it on, and it's got a tripod shoe. And you just slap it in your thing, and then you plug in your phone, and then you set it up for video, and you can put it wherever you want.
This would be so fun.
You put it above. You can put it on a tripod.
I'm traveling this weekend, but we'll troubleshoot that next week.
You guys are in Oregon, right?
Correct.
Oregon, my old stomping grounds.
Love it.
We're going to Oregon to take a look at an art school and visit friends. So
that's amazing.
Is it in Portland, Corvallis, Eugene? Where's the school?
Portland.
Nice, cool.
You're PNCA, right?
That sounds right. Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's downtown Portland, near a couple. It's like walking distance from Powell's books, and it's beautiful. It's a great campus, and I had a friend who went there, and it's a great school. So
Yeah, so
you guys are gonna have fun.
Is that where friend of the podcast Shane went?
No.
Oh, okay.
He went to Art Institute.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, in Portland.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
All right, boys.
All right. Oh, let me sign out. Thank you for listening. So you could email the podcast, brothersgeekpodcast at gmail.com, brothersgeek.com, brothers_geek at Twitter, Brothers Geek do stuff on Instagram, Brothers Geek Schmaltz on YouTube. You can see our faces while you do this. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. Leave us a review, please.
We're all cute, so you could watch that YouTube and see our faces and realize that we're varying degrees of cute.
The younger brothers are definitely cute. I am not cute.
Lies.
You're
Lies.
the
You're salt and pepper. You're salt and pepper distinguished.
That's right.
Is what you are.
Right. Just distinguished.
Distinguished.
Good talk, brothers. We're out.
Bye now.